5 volts on your charger. 230 in the wall. 400,000 on the power line outside town. You have seen this number your whole life. But what exactly is a volt? Here is a puzzle. A little bird lands on a 400,000 volt power line. And it is completely fine. It does not even ruffle a feather. How? Because both of its feet sit at almost exactly the same level on the electrical landscape. There is no difference between them. And with no difference, there is no push, and nothing flows. The big number never mattered. Only the difference does. That single idea is the whole of this chapter. This is electric potential. The trick that turns a whole forest of field arrows into one simple number at every point in space. In the last 2 chapters we mapped the electric field. It is powerful, but clumsy. At every single point in space it is an arrow, with a size and a direction, and adding arrows is tedious work. Potential throws all of that away. It stores the very same physics as a smooth landscape of electric height. Just one number at each point, no direction at all. A positive charge builds a hill around itself. And here is the intuition that makes everything click. Drop another positive charge nearby, and it simply rolls downhill, away from the peak, toward lower potential. Charges roll downhill. Remember that, and half the chapter is already yours. Potential grows straight out of energy, so let's start there. Lift a ball in gravity and you store potential energy in it. Let go, and gravity does positive work as the ball falls, spending that energy back. A positive charge in an electric field behaves exactly the same way. Release it and the field pushes it along the arrows, doing positive work, and because that force is conservative, just like gravity, the work depends only on where it starts and ends, never on the path. That is precisely the condition that lets us define a potential energy. The change in potential energy is just the negative of the work the field does. Delta U equals minus W. And we agree on a 0 point, the potential energy is 0 when the charge is infinitely far away. Now the key move. The energy a test charge carries is proportional to the charge itself. Double the charge, double the energy. So divide it out, and you get a quantity that belongs to the field alone, no matter what charge you use to probe it. That is the electric potential, V. Potential is potential energy per unit charge. Its unit is the volt, and a volt is simply 1 joule per coulomb. It is a scalar, it has a sign, but no direction. And only differences in potential ever matter, exactly as the bird told us. So what does a 12-volt battery really mean? Not 12 volts of charge. It means it maintains a 12 joule per coulomb difference between its terminals. Every coulomb that flows through the circuit carries 12 joules of energy with it. And for tiny particles, the joule is awkwardly huge, so we use the electron volt, the energy one electron picks up crossing 1 volt. Just 1.6 times 10 to the minus 19 joules. Points that share the same value of V form an equipotential surface. They are the contour lines of the electrical landscape, the exact analog of the elevation contours on a topographic map. Around a point charge they are nested spheres, seen here edge-on as rings. Slide a charge along one of these surfaces and you do no work at all, because the potential never changes. And that is true for any path between 2 points on the same ring, not just the one that stays on it. Now overlay the field. Notice the arrows cross every ring at a perfect right angle. That is no accident. If the field had any component along a surface, it would do work as a charge slid across it, contradicting the word equipotential. So the field always points straight across the contours, from high potential to low. To find the potential a distance r from a point charge, we integrate its field from r out to infinity, where v is 0. The field falls as 1 over r squared, but the integral hands us something gentler, v equals kq over r. The potential of a point charge falls off as 1 over r. That difference matters. The potential decays more slowly than the field, reaching further out into space. And the sign of the potential simply matches the sign of the charge. A positive charge raises the potential around it, a hill. A negative charge lowers it, a valley. Same shape, flipped. Here is where potential truly pays off. Put several charges down and ask for the potential at one point. Because v is just a number with no direction, you add the contributions like ordinary numbers. No components. No angels. No vector diagrams. V equals the sum of each charges kq over r, every term carrying its own sign. To get the field you would have had to add 4 vectors component by component. To get the potential you add 4 numbers. That is the whole computational advantage, in one line. And if you ever do need the field, you take the potential and just differentiate it at the very end. Which is exactly where we go next. In scene 5 we went from field to potential by integrating. Now we reverse the trip. If you know the potential everywhere, the field is simply the negative slope of the landscape. The steeper the potential drops, the stronger the field, and it points straight downhill. Watch the tangent line as I move along the curve. Where the hill is steep, the slope is large and the field is strong. Right at the peak the slope is flat, so the field is 0. And it always pushes a positive charge toward the lower ground. So the field and the potential are the same information written into languages. Integrate the field to get the potential, differentiate the potential to get the field. A genuine two-way street. One last beautiful corollary. Inside a conductor in equilibrium the field is 0, and all the excess charge lives on the outer surface. Since the field is 0 everywhere in the metal, the potential difference between any two interior points is 0 too. So the entire conductor, inside and on its surface, sits at a single potential. It is one big equipotential volume. But the charge does not spread evenly. It crowds onto the sharpest, most curved spots, and the field just outside is fiercest there. That is the whole principle behind the lightning rod, and the corona glow on a high voltage point. Which brings our little bird's power line right back into the story. Let's make it concrete. 4 charges at the corners of a square, each one the same distance, 0.919 meters, from the center. Because potential is a scalar, we just add them. The distance factors out, so we add the charges, plus 12, minus 24, plus 31, plus 17, gives 36 nanocoulombs. K times that, over R, comes to about 350 volts. The arrangement of the charges never even entered. Second example. Start an electron from rest and let it cross 1000 volts. Its kinetic energy is just E times V, which is 1000 electron volts. Convert, set it equal to 1/2 mv squared, and out comes a speed of nearly 19 million meters per second. That is the working heart of an old cathode ray tube. The electron volt made the bookkeeping effortless. So here is the whole chapter, on 5 cards. 1. Potential is energy per unit charge, V equals U over Q, measured in volts. 2. For a point charge it is kQ over R, with the sign of the charge. 3. For many charges, just add the numbers, K sum of Q over R. 4. It is a two-way street. The field is the negative gradient of the potential. 5. A conductor is one single equipotential, inside and out. That's electric potential, the field, captured as a scalar landscape you can read off as a single number. If it finally clicked, subscribe. Next up is capacitance, where we trap that potential difference between two plates and store energy with it. Full notes are on engineeringdevotion.com. See you in the next one.